In this question, we have PM take away QM is equal to R, and we are required to transpose for M. That means we want M by itself on one side of the equal sign and everything else on the other side. Now the problem here is that we have two M's. So the question is, which one do we transpose for? And that is where the method of factorization comes in. So seeing that I have the two terms in M's together on one side of the equal sign, I would factor out the M. So I'll put the M, open brackets, and now I'll divide this PM by M, and the M's will cancel out each other and I'll remain with P. Then I'll divide this QM with this M, and the M's will cancel out each other and you will remain with Q. So you can clearly see after factorization that the M is only occurring once now. So I can move this P take away Q in brackets across to the other side of the equal sign and remain with this M alone on the left hand side of the equal sign. By having the M outside the brackets, it suggests that the M is being multiplied by the P take away Q. So the operation between the M and the P take away Q is multiplication. So when I carry this P take away Q across the equal sign, the operation will change to division, and this P take away Q will go underneath the R. So I'll have M is equal to R divided by P take away Q. And that's your answer. In this question, I have AX take away Y is equal to negative BX. And I'm asked to make X the subject of the formula. So that would mean having X on one side of the equal sign by itself and everything else on the other side. Now I can clearly see I have two terms in X, the AX and the negative BX. So again, the question is, which one to transpose for? So anytime you are in that situation, you would turn to the factorization method. So the first thing we'll have to do here is bring the terms in X to one side of the equal sign and everything else to the other side. So I'll have AX, I'll bring across this negative BX, it will come across to the left hand side, and the sign in front of it will change and turn to positive. Then I'll take this negative Y and carry it across the equal sign to the right hand side, and the sign in front of it will change from negative to positive. Now because the Y is by itself, the positive sign in front of it is understood, therefore there is no need to write it. So now that I have the terms in X together, I can factor out the X. So I'll divide AX by X and I'll get A. I'll divide positive BX by X and the X's will cancel and remain with positive B. Now the operation between the X and the A plus B in brackets is multiplication. So when I carry this A plus B across the equal sign to the right hand side, the operation will change to division and this A plus B will go underneath the Y. So I'll have X is equal to Y divided by A plus B. And that's your answer. In this question, we have if M is equal to M plus P divided by Q, we want to transpose for M. Now we are seeing that we have M by itself on one side of the equal sign, but the problem is there's another M on the right hand side as well. So we'll have to find a way to bring the M's together and then factor out the M so that we'll only have one M in the formula. So in a situation like this where we have the M here and a fraction on one side, we'll use the method of cross multiplication. So we need fractions on both sides of the equal sign to cross multiply. So we'll place the M over 1, which will be same as M. And now we have fractions on both sides, so we can cross multiply. So M multiplied by Q will give us MQ. And 1 times m plus p would give you 1 open brackets m plus p, close brackets. Now anything multiplied by 1 will give you back the same thing, so 1 multiplied by m plus p would give you back m plus p. So this formula would read mq is equal to m plus p. Now I'll bring this positive m across the equal sign to the left hand side, and the sign in front of it will change from positive to negative. Now that I have the two terms in m together, I can factor out the m. So I'll have m, open brackets, and mq divided by m, the m's will cancel and I'll remain with q. And m divided by negative m would give me negative 1. Now this is m multiplied by q take away 1. So the operation here is multiplication between the m and the q take away 1. So when we carry across the q take away 1 to the right hand side of the equal sign, the operation will change from multiplication to division. So this q take away 1 will go underneath the p. So I'll have m is equal to p divided by q take away 1. And that's your answer. Now in this question we have ax divided by b is equal to p take away qx divided by r. And we want to find x, which is the transpose for x, or make x the subject of the formula. That means I want x by itself on one side of the equal sign and everything else on the other side. So I have x occurring twice, therefore I'll have to bring the terms in x together and factor out the x and then transpose for x. Now seeing that I have basically fractions on both sides of the equal sign, the first thing I'm going to do is cross multiply. So ax multiplied by r would give me axr, and b times p take away qx would give me b open brackets p take away qx. Now I already have this term in x here, and this other term in x is inside this brackets here. So first I'll have to expand the brackets, and then I can bring the term in x across the equal sign. So I'll have b times p would give me bp, and b times negative qx would give me negative bqx. Now I can bring this term in x across the equal sign to the left hand side. Now there's a negative sign in front of the term, so when it goes across the equal sign to the left hand side, the sign in front of it will change to positive. And now that I have these two terms in x together, I can factor out the x. So I'll say axr divided by x, the x's will cancel, and I'll remain with AR. And now I'll divide the BQX with X, and the X's would cancel, and I'll remain with BQ. So I have positive BQ, close brackets. Now this X is being multiplied by AR plus BQ. So when this AR plus BQ goes across to the right hand side of the equal sign, the operation will change from multiplication to division. Therefore, this AR plus BQ will go underneath this BP. So I'll have X is equal to BP divided by AR plus BQ. Now I'd like to look at the same question, but instead of transposing for X, we're going to transpose for P. Now P only occurs once, so we wouldn't have to do any factorization. So again, the first thing to do is cross multiplication. So we multiply the AX by the R, and we get AXR. And then we multiply the B by the P take away QX, and we get B open brackets P take away QX. Now seeing that we want to transpose for P, we'll have to move this b and this negative qx across the equal sign to the left hand side. So the first thing we can do here is move this b. This b is being multiplied by the p take away qx. So the operation between the b and the p take away qx is multiplication. So when this b goes across the equal sign to the left hand side, the operation will change to division and the b would go under the axr. So I'll have axr divided by b is equal to p take away qx. Now I'd move this negative qx across the equal sign. And when this qx goes across, the sign in front of the qx will change from negative to positive. So I'll have axr over b plus qx is equal to p. And that's your answer.